And give me one moment. I'm going to get it all set up on Facebook.
Hi, Molly. Rabbi Kleinman, you'll holler when you want me to start.
Mm-hmm.
We are live on Facebook. I can see us right now.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. This is our MLRT camp info session where we're going to tell you about Jewish summer camp options, why Jewish summer camp, and some financial assistance available through the Federation of Jewish Philadelphia. And I'll turn it over to Rabbi Newberg.
Thank you, Rabbi Kleinman. It is good to be with all of you here to talk about Jewish camping. I would say that this is something I am quite passionate about. I went to the local Jewish community center for summer camp growing up, which gave me lots of wonderful memories. But I married somebody who attended Camp Harlem and spoke very reverently and lovingly about his time spent at Camp Harlem. And maybe Rabbi Kleinman might share a reflection or two since he also grew up going to Camp Harlem. But it is something that very early on I knew I wanted to give our son the advantage of experiencing. And so I have seen both as a rabbi serving as faculty at two different Jewish camps and through my son's eyes the tremendous value of attending Jewish camp, whether it be a day camp or overnight camp. So there's lots of amazing Jewish camps out there, and there is one that's going to be right for you, either in the flavor of the camp, the sort of the culture of the camp, or how long you might want to attend, or the location. And so there's lots of, like I said, great options out there. And we have terrific people with us tonight representing just a selection of some of those camps. And but in general, Rabbi Kleinman, Cantor Rudnick, and I are here to help facilitate and answer any questions and connect you to a Jewish camp that may be right for you and your family. So that, of course, offer extends long into the future, whether it be for this summer or subsequent summers. And I just want to mention that the Reform Movement, the Union for Reform Judaism, has many Jewish camps. We have our regional camp, which is Camp Harlem, the one I mentioned before. And then it has several specialty camps. There is a science and technology camp, and we'll hear from a camper, Cole Kellman, in just a little bit. And they have a creative arts camp, which is actually out in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And that is a really dynamic and special place. And then we have the sports camp where my son has attended for the last 6 summers, and I have served as faculty for the last 5 summers. There's also other Jewish camps. We have capital camps, Camp Galil, and Camp Ramah, and there might be one or two others, but suffice it to say, there should be something for everyone. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rabbi Kleinman, who is going to give you a little information about the One Happy Camper program, which is a tremendous resource.
The Jewish Federation system has partnered with the Foundation for Jewish Camp to make Jewish camping financially viable for families. And there are 2 programs that exist through the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. I've shared the screen just so you can see the landing page that are available for our families and for our students to attend Jewish summer camp. It's a wider range of camps to which these programs apply. both day camps and overnight camps, those that Rabbi Newberg mentioned in our region, but also the camps that are all around the country that are affiliated Jewish camps. The scholarship money can apply to those camps as well. So the general program is called One Happy Camper, and there are two parts. If it is your child's first summer at an overnight camp, and as long as they go for sometimes 10 or sometimes 12, depending on the camp and the program, at least 10 or 12 days, then they qualify automatically for a certain amount of financial assistance. Generally, it's between $750 and $1,000 for an incentive to go to Jewish summer camp for the first time. There's also need-based financial aid, and this applies both to day camps and to overnight camps. So you can go to the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia's website or Google search One Happy Camper Jewish Philadelphia, and it will take you to this landing page right here. You do have to enroll in your camp first, and then you have to submit through the Federation's One Happy Camper program. And something different that they're doing this year, the money that's available is first come, first serve. So the sooner that you apply for the funding through the Federation, the better your chances of getting that funding for your child for this year.
You're good, Rabbi Kleinman?
I'm good.
All right. Yes. So it is my privilege to introduce to you some of our congregant families who participate in a variety of Jewish camps around the area. And first up, I see Amy Koppelman, who is also happens to co-chair our membership committee and is on our board of trustees. But her son attends Capital Camps, which is in Maryland. And so I'm going to ask Amy, I'm assuming Ethan is not with you since we haven't seen him.
He is not. And actually,
Okay.
It's Samantha who attended
Oh,
Capital
sorry.
Camps.
I knew that. I was just testing you.
It's good. I need a test like that every so often. So Capital Camps, Samantha went last year for the first year. She was supposed to go the prior year, but because of COVID, that didn't happen. I went to a camp. I grew up in LA. It was infused with Jewish culture. I was always looking for that for my kids. For other reasons, Ethan went elsewhere, and I'm happy to talk about his experience at a couple of other camps and the whole camp tour that we did then. When it came time for Samantha, I was really excited to tour Capital Camps with her and almost wish that Ethan had gone as well. Capital Camps, they have two distinct 3-week sessions. It draws from the Maryland, DC crowd, although they have some campers from everywhere. They bring in some counselors from Israel, which is really neat. And they do have a bus from Bala-Cynwyd. So it definitely makes it convenient. And they have a 5-week trial as well as, 5-day trial, as well as a 10-day trial for younger kids to try out the camp. And Samantha just loved really everything. She loved that it was such a wonderful culture. Everybody was so friendly and respectful. And I think that has a lot to do with the Jewish values that are kind of infused into the day-to-day. What's also neat is that they have a wonderful Atzmaim program with having social workers for all divisions, and also a special needs program where counselors are added to bunks and very supportive. And kids often don't know that the counselors are there to help them, but that also builds a lot of respect amongst everybody as they're campers with all abilities who are there. So certainly reach out if you have any questions about Capital Camps. It was truly a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Amy. It is good to hear that there are so many options available at Capital Camps and that it's been such a positive experience. Next up, who I know also has had a very positive experience, is Cole Kellman, even though it says Karen on his screen. Cole has been attending 6 Point SciTech, the Science and Technology Camp that is outside of Boston. So Cole, if you would unmute and share with us a little about your experience and why the Science and Technology Camp has been the right fit for you and what you want people to know about it.
Well, I've always been into science and technology, and so the camp was just the right fit for me. The people there are nice and welcoming, and I've never just had a bad experience there.
How many summers have you been going there, Cole?
Four, no, actually three technically. This is my fourth.
Okay. And when you're at the science and technology camp, why don't you tell people how you start your day?
Uh, Usually getting dressed and brushing my teeth.
Yeah, but when you get together collectively as a camp, don't you do something that's a little exciting to start the day?
Oh yeah, Boker Big Bang. That's usually pretty good. You know, they do a big experiment and sometimes it explodes, sometimes it fizzles.
Okay. Well,
We,
that's what we always hear about 6 Point Sci-Tech is that you start the day by blowing something up. And it sounds like an awfully fun way to start the day. Certainly gets your attention first thing in the morning. And do you want to say a little something maybe about where you live or when you're at camp and where kids come from?
well, usually a lot kids come usually almost all around the eastern seaboard that around that area, and we usually live in like these like little bunk areas, and like in like this old boarding school. I believe it's Governor's Academy. We each get assigned to different like houses and yeah, with roommates and stuff.
Okay. And how many weeks do you typically go for, Cole?
I typically only stay for one session, also 2 weeks. I know a
Okay.
lot of people usually stay for 2 weeks. I mean, 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. So you'd give it two thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Cole. Stay tuned for maybe a few follow-up questions.
All right.
And next, we have the lovely Molly Murphy, who attends Camp Galil. Molly, you want to say a few words about, along the same lines about your experience at Camp Galil?
Yeah, Galil is definitely like my home away from home. It's nice to have like so many people who are like have so much in common with you because like even though we come from different places like around like mostly just the East Coast, but like we all are like it's really fun because we get to like have that one thing that's in common and we get to like really have a lot of fun.
And where is Camp Galil?
It's in Ottsville, PA, so it's close.
Okay. And how many years have you been going?
Since 2017.
Okay. And what are some of the highlights of Camp Galil that you look forward to each summer?
Well, each Friday night, we like do a Shabbat celebration, and afterwards we do Rikud, which is dancing, and it's really fun because we do a lot of Israeli dances, and that's super fun.
Good. How's the food?
Really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay. And how long do you go for?
Usually 5 weeks.
Okay. And what is that typical for most of the campers who are there or?
There's two sessions. The first session is 4 weeks, and the second session is 3 weeks. So most people stay either 4 weeks or 7 weeks, but you can like extend past first session, which is what a few people do.
That is an interesting option. I have never heard of that particular option before. Awesome. Okay. I think, is that all of our camp participants? I think so. As I mentioned before, there are other wonderful Jewish camps out there. Camp Ramah has a day camp, and it also has an overnight camp up in the Poconos. That is a camp that's affiliated with the conservative movement. And there is also Pioneer, and I know we have a lot of families that go there and have a really positive experience. Just want to ask any last minute thoughts from our wonderful panelists about anything else that maybe popped into mind since I gave my little interview that you think you might want to share about camp. Cole, anything else you want to add? No? Molly? No? Amy Koppelman? No. All right. As I said before, Rabbi Kleinman, Cantor Rudnick, and I are all here to help answer any questions you might have Jewish overnight camp, or day camp for that matter. It is very much worth the time, energy, and resources that go to it. sociologists will tell you that there are two ways to make our young people feel most connected to their Judaism. One is to send them to Israel. And one day I hope to have our dream of a teen trip to Israel materialize. And the second way to have our kids feel most connected to their Judaism is to send them to Jewish overnight camp. So like I said, it was an excellent investment of time and energy and resources. So thank you all for being with us tonight. I appreciate it, Molly and Amy and Cole. And I think it's back at you, Rabbi Kleiman.
I also want to thank Cole and Amy and Molly for sharing with us, and Rabbi Newberg in the Cantor for being here as well. I know your children are not yet overnight camp age. I'll just briefly share my experience. When I was growing up in Northern Virginia, my parents sent me to overnight camp, but it wasn't until I was 14 that they sent me to Camp Harlem, which is the Reform Movement camp here in the Poconos. And that was when things really started to click for me about, I was 14 years old, I'd had my bar mitzvah. I could be in an environment where I could play sports and make best friends within a few minutes, but then also we were living and breathing on Jewish time. So I never celebrated Shabbat like I had at Chapel on the Hill at Camp Harlem, where everybody wears white, like in many of the Jewish summer camps, and you spend the time building community through that Jewish identity that everybody there shares. For me, it really set a path of camping, not just for fun, but also as a career path. So I worked at Camp Harlem for a number of summers. I met Rabbi Newberg's husband, Eric, when I was working up there. And when I was in rabbinic school, I also got to spend my summers working as a faculty member and then later on at Camp Harlem. Just to round out my family's experience for a moment, my younger children go to Ramad Day Camp. They really have a fabulous experience there. It's in Elkins Park. There are bus trips available to get on in the morning and get dropped back off in your neighborhood. And also the Kaiserman JCC Camp KEF is a camp that will qualify for money through the One Happy Camper financial assistance program. So there are many Jewish camp options available. And what makes a camp Jewish? This is a question that I often get. Many of the camps, the overnight camps and the day camps, have many Jewish campers, and they have many Jewish staff members, and they even often have Jewish owners. But it's the intentionality behind a living, breathing, 24/7 Jewish experience that really identifies the camp as a particularly Jewish camp. That and often it's affiliated with one of the movements, a youth movement or a movement that's a denomination within the United States or the JCCs. But any camp experience that you have that builds character and identity, we support that. But in particular, the opportunity to think about the Jewish development of your child along the way. That's the added bonus of Jewish camp, in my opinion. Rabbi Newberg.
Yes, sorry, Rabbi Kleiman. I just thought one more thing that I think needs to be mentioned explicitly is about the friendships that are formed at camp, that the camp friends that you make often become your lifelong friends. And I also know, and again, Cantor Rudnick and Rabbi Kleiman can also attest to this, that our kids who go to camp, who grow up, they go to college, they meet people at college, or they have a friendly face at college because they were at camp with them, or they move to a new city after college and they're trying to find people to connect with, and they plug into the local camp community there, and lo and behold, they're hanging out with Camp Harlem kids in Chicago. So even if you're not going to camp anymore, either as a camper or a counselor or even a director of a camp, that the camp community really is a tight-knit one and provides great resources and connections and friendships long after your time at camp has passed. So thank you for letting me butt in with one more thing, Rabbi Kleiman.
It may even set you on the path to be a rabbi or a cantor. You never know. Well, does anybody else want to add a closing thought? Well, great. So what we're going to do, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you have questions about any of the camps that were shared tonight, please just post your question in the comments in the Facebook. post underneath the video, and we'll respond to them on Facebook. Also, if you want to share about your family's Jewish camp experience, go ahead and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we're all here to answer any questions that you might have. Just a reminder, there is no religious school this Sunday, so we hope you have a nice Thanksgiving and have another Sunday off. So for religious school, we will see you in 2 weeks. And again, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to share your camp experiences with us this evening.